Friends and family, worthy rabbi. My wife, Baruch Hashem, is a true Eshet Chayil in every sense of the word.
You are.
Aye, that's the wrong speech for this crowd, isn't it? I kind of wanted to talk about how Dania makes the Shabbos and is a real balabusta, but that's not really what Binky is about, is it?
No, it's not.
I think it would be more appropriate. No, Mom can talk, don't worry. I think it would be more appropriate to talk about the things that Dania holds near and dear, like doing things for her family and friends, asking her kids to do just this one thing for her, and then afterwards asking them, was that so bad? Usually it was. Spending quality time in her basement lair by herself on her computer, optimizing the cable and phone plans, getting free shit, and her most recent passion, running a cake pop assembly line / slave labor sweatshop. So most of you were here when Dania was 40 for her 40th party in the exact same space. When I say here, I mean exactly here in the same spot. Dania was sitting there and I was standing here, but most of you were right here. She had such a great time at her 40th that Dania wanted to replicate the event. So the room has been redecorated a bit, but somehow it feels smaller. Instead of getting Pita Paradise to cater, we went upscale with Sababa. Here's a little known fact. The guy who owns Sababa is actually the estranged brother of the guy who owned Pita Paradise. It's true. The parking lot is now a little tighter because there's an extra 20,000 people who moved into the area. Does anyone know how to say Young and Shepherd in Mandarin? That's not racist, by the way. Also, this time we went with pre-recorded music instead of live, and I can't believe Bonnie, original recipe Bonnie left, but if you missed the live entertainment, you don't have to miss it too much, because believe it or not, the live entertainer is living in the basement of one of our neighbors who shall remain nameless across the street. True story. But the important thing is that if all of you are here, plus a few friends, a few new friends, and the good news is I don't have to rehash the first 40 years. Besides, that was all reviewed and played in a loop on that beautiful DVD that Dania made, and you're all in it. Oh, that didn't make any sense. But in case you missed it, or you might have forgotten because we're all getting a little bit older, here's a brief recap of Dania's life from birth to the age of 40. Born in Nigeria, during the day, moved to Canada, wore braces and headgear for 8 years, challenged but really never competed with the 2 Chinese girls in her class, and Andrea was with her on that one. She and an accomplice who shall remain nameless gave X-Lax to Lois Rabi. She was one of the cool nerds at Wager. If anyone else was a cool nerd at Wager, raise your hand. Sloan and Andrea, come on. You were in the band, Sloan. Oh, you weren't at Wager. At West Hill as well, come on. Went to prom with a guy who made millions as one of the co-founders of Salesforce.com. Dated a guy who looked like a monkey, met me and became cool. Was on the fast track at Richter and came in 21st in Canada when she wrote the CA exams. Was a star at Diversity Corporation, consolidating the results of 100 subsidiaries in 60 different geographies. Had 3 kids, became a best-selling publisher with more than 300,000 books in print. Became a big wheel in the Yenta community, had her 40th birthday bash, collaborated with her mother to almost burn down this very building, literally, with more than 40 sparklers on her cake. And now I'm going to go back on track and talk about what Dania's done in her 40s, picking up right after the point when the firemen left after the last party. So, Dania's 40s are affectionately referred to as the decade of Gladys, sometimes referred to as the second minivan era, and otherwise known as 3,650 days of new aches and pains. So Dania spent some of that time organizing 3 awesome bar mitzvahs for our 3 wonderful sons. 2 of them were actual destination bar mitzvahs, meaning Montreal. One of them featured gourmet food from a Trafe banquet hall, plus kosher meals that may or may not have been in oven-safe containers. We don't know because nobody tried to warm them up. All of them featured beautiful and creative centerpieces and other tchotchkes that took hours and hours and hours to make. Kenny was lucky to have been bar mitzvah just after the stock market bottomed out. He avoided the crippling losses to his portfolio that Warren and Zach suffered at the hands of Dania and her financial advisor, Hal. And there's a video about that online. If you look up Superdino59, my stupid investment advisor. The Kitty Chronicles publishing juggernaut plays an important role in Dania's life. My father-in-law, Gideon, is always asking Dania what she's doing with her time because he sees the potential in her and in her business and is frustrated that she hasn't yet turned Baby Chronicles into a multimedia empire. So here's what she's done this decade to advance the brand. The message on our answering machine used to say, "Thanks for calling the Leibovich families and Kitty Chronicles." And now it's been streamlined and it says, "Thanks for calling Baby Chronicles." So that's one. Thank Christ for cell phones. A few years ago, Dania saw a website she liked and hired the design firm to revise her own website. For some reason, the unemployed guy in Whitby, who was her former webmaster, is still involved in a maintenance role, but that discussion is beyond the scope of this venue. So getting back to her design firm, it just so happens that everybody at this place called Macro Blue is gay, which is neither here nor there. You know, it just is. They do fantastic work, and all the colors are fabulous, but they are really expensive because all these guys have no kids and they have incomes and all that stuff. So the added benefit was that Dania got internship positions for Warren and for Zach at Macro Blue. It was a great experience for both of them, but we did get a little concerned one day last summer when Zach came home and he was wearing a tight black Lacoste shirt that the owner made him buy for work. And he was never able to explain, to my satisfaction, why he had to wear the tight black shirt. So because Dania's all about saving a little coin, when she embarked on her next project, developing the pregnancy planner smartphone app, she went back to her chintzy roots. Instead of getting the professionals at Macro Blue, she hired a talented, young, inexpensive Asian engineering student. Let me set the scenario for you. From Waterloo.
Who's friends with Warren?
Who is
friends with a friend.
Who's friends with a friend. He's an underclassman that Warren just figured would be able to put up with his mom. So let me set the scenario for you. It's 9 a.m. on a Saturday morning. All our kids are asleep. I'm kind of floating around, and Dan is getting ready. I go, "What are you getting ready for?" The doorbell rings. Here's Darren Moe, some 19-year-old kid, and his dad just dropped him off at her house. Okay, Dania has her books to work on his first client ever. So Dania's got her books with her iPad out, her BlackBerry with a trackball, and it's all over the kitchen table. She starts to talk to him about her vision for the pregnancy planner app. As lead designer and developer, Darren establishes the parameters for the project. He tells Dania she's no longer allowed to use one of those stylus pen thingies when she's using her iPad. She's got to use her fingers like anybody else who uses an iPad or an iPhone. Then he asks her the key question any app designer would want to know, "Dania, where do babies come from?" I'm not making this up. So this kid is a whiz at XML, but nobody ever told him about the birds and the bees. So in the spirit of sharing and cooperation, there's Dania sitting at our kitchen table, teaching a 19-year-old kid from square one about menstruation, ovulation, copulation, prenatal gestation, and the eventual elation of childbirth. That's the speech that she always wanted to have with you guys. You can thank Darren for getting that out of the way. So I got a lot of emails and calls from you guys asking what Dania wanted for a gift, and she was pretty clear in her invitation that she pretended I was sending out on her behalf, that she didn't want any store-bought gifts. So she really did want people to go to Michael's and the dollar store and other cheapy peepee places and buy supplies and spend hours and hours and hours crafting together something meaningful. And you'll see Elaine put together something beautiful, and Terry did, and the Mommy's Night Out crew, and everybody, you all pitched in your own ways. And Hillary and Mary made stuff, and everybody came to help set up the room, so thank you, because that all took pressure off of me, thank God. But what would be meaningful? What really are Dania's interests and hobbies? Because people were saying, like, what's your favorite charity? What does she like to do? And I said, like, aside from bugging people, I'm not sure. So let's see. I came up with a list. Bugging her kids, saving money, bugging her kids' teachers, calling Rogers to get them to delete charges, giving her kids' friends the googly eye, getting into fights with hockey parents from Mississauga and Scarborough, go NT, going through people's garbage, recycling people's garbage, incorporating people's garbage into our home decor. Alan, thanks for the coffee table.
Like the TV works.
The Appels, thank you for the TV that's really dark. Zach thanks Rob's dad for his couch. Wearing people's garbage, where's Wendy? Wendy, thank you for that lovely gown. Dania is looking for something in a light purple from 2008 or later for the next time. So, what else has Dania done lately? She has helicopter parented our boys' academic and work careers very skillfully. Dania knows the entrance requirements to just about every program at every Tier 1 university in Ontario. She even has the guidance counselor from Havergal College on speed dial. Warren and Zach are both well on their way to, as co-op students at Waterloo. Kenny doesn't know exactly where he wants to go to school or what he wants to do, but he'll make it as difficult on us as possible, just because. So Dania's found the perfect foil in our boy Kenny. Dania has very specific ideas about the way she'd like things to be done, which makes it so much easier for Kenny to just do the opposite. Kenny's cool, Dania had to marry into cool. But still does not fully get the concept. Kenny is all about spending as much money as possible on everything, yet he graciously agreed to run to every Dollarama in the 905 to pick up every vase that they had in stock so Dania could complete the centerpieces. And he did it all without complaining to Dania, only to me. Speaking of Kenny, I know a lot of you were reticent to come tonight for a certain reason. I can assure you there is nothing to worry about. Dania has promised there will be 0 canvassing for the Maccabea games tonight. Your checkbooks are safe. Thank you for your donations, by the way. Zach used to be the one Dania could count on. Now he's the one she can count on to disagree with anything she says. At the end of the day, though, he'll do what we ask, so long as you can wait for him to finish his next online course session or the last 2 games of Call of Duty. Zach is the one who keeps an eye on Dania at the hockey games, and he's always ready to step up when Dania starts up with a pack of 20-year-olds who are rooting for the rival team, or gets caught in a swearing match with some fat drunk dad from Scarborough.
He swore at us. He said F you.
You realize Zach's going to have to pound him out. If you keep talking, Zach's going to have to pound him out. Warren has come a long way. When he was 14, Dania and her sister Cindy ruthlessly fired him from his unpaid job drawing clip art for the original Baby Chronicles pregnancy planner. Now he's Dania's go-to special consultant on all matters having to do with design, SEO, internet, and all social media. He's also the best at handling what I would diplomatically refer to as Dania's demanding nature. He just agrees with her on everything and then does whatever he wants. B, does that happen to you too?
I hope not, we'll see.
You'll find out. Dania is huge on Facebook. In fact, she has 2 profiles. Her personal one, where she stalks the cool kids from Wager. How many pictures do you have with Debbie Raskin?
I just saw it the other day.
Okay. And her professional profile, where she's the den mother to the Baby Chronicles online community. Little known fact about Dania, she mercilessly ignores Facebook and LinkedIn friend requests from people that she doesn't want to be on Facebook or LinkedIn with. So I'm pretty sure it's safe to share that with everyone here. But when we post my toast on my Facebook page, the cat will be out of the bag. You want to know why? Well, I have hordes of Facebook friends who really are using me to get info about Dania. Such as, you might ask? Such as some first cousins in faraway places of lands that we hold dear as the Jewish people, whose names might rhyme with, say, Monique Schlenkoff.
Klinger.
Yes, who's Rinkhoff? Monique Klinger. That's her married name. You don't even remember her married name. Such as the brother of a close friend who is attending this party without her husband, but don't read anything into that. Their kid has 2 playoff games this weekend. We're just honored Naomi could make it. Oops. Anyway, I signed up for Facebook so I could check on potential customers for work and see what it could do for me. And I only use it every few days, but every time I log on, it's like bleep, 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 and I get these message things, and it's somebody like Ronit saying, how's my cousin Dania doing? What's happening with your kids? How come she's ignoring my friend requests? And I got to deal with that, so thank you, honey. Now, Bonnie too couldn't be here with us. She's in Montreal. For you guys who don't know, but I'm sure a lot of you do, Dania collects Bonnies. She's got original recipe Bonnie. She's got extra crispy Bonnie, which is Bonnie too. Jeff and Terry know about this. She even sometimes is Bonnie to other people. Like when it came to making the cake pops, she became Susan Benzikin's Schlosser's Bonnie, because she Bonnied her for days and days about how to make the cake pops. Anyway, Dania's been able to knock pennies off. So Bonnie too is very frugal. So Dania's been able to knock pennies off every grocery bill through a series of deft couponing maneuvers and making purchases of stale, dated, and or industrial grade food items. I have to beg her not to buy the produce from Walmart that is certified to have been picked by actual slave laborers from a quarantined tuberculosis colony in China.
The chicken was good, Jack.
I bought the chicken yesterday, and it came from Walmart, not Walmart, Costco, and it was made in Canada, okay? So now you know why you see me shopping alone at Concord on a Sunday morning, where I'll run into Cindy Maker, or the Cantors together. I don't know how Ian does it, but he's able to convince Corinne that was actually their date night. I want to subscribe to your newsletter, man. Enjoying the cake pops?
Yes.
You might have heard a little bit about, they're homemade. Did you know you can buy Duncan Hines mix at the Dollarama store now? Now you can find it in aisle 3 between the cleaning supplies and the feminine hygiene products. Mmm, cake pops. Gideon, did you know that in the time it took to research, test, bake, mount, and decorate each one of the 170 cake pops that actually survived, Dania could have signed up at least 100 new users to the Baby Chronicles app that she did not have time to complete. For each cake pop, that's equal to 100 new users to the app at 99 cents a user. Here's another little known fact. Sababa will give you a 50% discount on week-old hummus. I couldn't fit that in anywhere in the rest of the speech, but it might be important tomorrow in case your doctor asks. So the cake pops are just a small detail in the overall planning of this gala event. Dania made everything you see here. She took a woodworking class so she could build the tables, because she didn't like the shape of the original tables. Terry told her that the ones that came with a party room rental didn't allow for the proper party flow. So at 11:30 last night, Zach and I get a call, come over and move this bar. This bar, and I said, that's where Zach and I draw the line. So Dania and Terry spent till 1:30 in the morning moving the bar.
And?
Nice deal, honey.
Doesn't the bar look good?
It's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
The centerpieces are comprised of vases from Dollarama, pictures that Dania creeped off of everybody's Facebook
No, not
pages,
true, no.
bags that she stole from the bulk barn.
No, not true. First of all, the pictures, I took every picture. And if I didn't take every picture...
She's saying pictures that she took every picture. If she didn't take every picture, then nobody would ever take the pictures, because she's taking the pictures, and it's a miracle she's in any pictures.
Exactly.
Okay.
I took all the pictures.
My speech. Pictures that Dania creeped off the Facebook pages, getting back in. Bags that she swiped from the bulk barn,
I only
and
took the bags.
candy that was donated by rich kids from their Halloween surplus and got intercepted on their way to children of disadvantaged families. Total cost, $2.19, not including labor. If you calculate labor at Dania's imputed hourly wage, let's say conservatively she's worth about $150 an hour, because by now she'd be a CFO at a major public company. Each centerpiece still only costs $237. And now for the mushy part.
Oh.
Dania is a caring wife and devoted mother. Dania's really a caring wife and devoted mother. She looks after all the financial stuff in our house. People at my work don't believe me because I run a finance company. And they go like, what about this or what about that? I go, I don't know what we pay for the heating bill because my wife does that. I don't know what our bank charges are because Dania does that. I don't know what it's like to shovel snow because Dania does that. I don't know the name of the guy who mows our grass.
Vito.
Except, I know it's Vito because Vito had a fight with you. You know Vito. Because Vito pulled all your shrubs out when you wouldn't pay him. Oh, it's Heather. I thought it was you, because he said he thinks it's you.
No, but you had a fight with Vito.
Okay, that is...
Anyway, you had a fight with Vito. We get along well with Vito. Vito brings us hot peppers. Vito is good, not because of me, but because Dania treats him well. And she really is the mayor of our street. Ask Alan that she's got, you know, and Sherry, and she brings us all together. She's a terrific mom to our kids. She's always helping out. She's always involved. She's a fantastic and devoted wife who looks after me as well as she can. And I'm not easy to look after sometimes, especially when there's cake pops sitting around the house. These are the only pants that still fit me from my last weight. So what I want to say is, you know, I am so happy to have spent much more than half of your 50 years with you. And I'm so looking forward to the next 50 years. And I wrote that line for Kenny at the end of his speech also. Thank you.